Like I remember we used to be kind of like one of the big dogs within the subgenre. Now it feels like barely anybody knows we exist. Like I have like we had at one point I think we had like overnight like 3,000 people flood into our Discord server, and now there's like maybe one or two regulars I see on a regular basis who are talking in there. It's very
I feel
dead
you
quiet.
about that. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we ever were
I
like
think-
top dogs or anything, but we on one of the realms, if I don't recall, I think it's the one that we did the reveal trailer. People were like really excited about it, but we really fucked up the initial release of the demo, and that really hurt like I think the expectation of the game. And very slowly and grindly, we've been like just try to keep the game better. You know, it's like almost endless, right? That much to that, and I think that changed it, but that we did lost that sort of like hype for like the game. Just like I check like ever so often, like every 2 weeks, every month, like on the internet, there's like new video or people talking about. And yeah, we spent from like having like news and like things and to nothing. And yeah, our Discord is also pretty much like that as well. And it kind of sucks, but to be completely honest, what I get from that in perspective, or the lesson I take from that is that it's I don't know if it's the same case. Like I think I played the demo for Viscerafest, but it was probably a long time ago. But I don't recall it being like really. It's like, is it quite replayable or not?
I mean, the current full release version is. I don't know if you would say the demo is. For me, I like if I really enjoy a game, I'll replay it. Like that's it's simple as that. I understand that not everybody has that mindset, but that for me that's the case. I'm like, if I enjoy a game, I'm gonna keep replaying it. It is replayable by virtue of being good.
Good. Yeah. No, I get you.
But I don't think our demo
I think
provided.
that the whole thing comes down to the. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Disconnect here.
No, yeah,
but,
just go on. Yeah.
I'll let you continue. But what I was gonna say is, I think a lot of it, when it comes to like that sudden increase of sales, and then the constant drop off, or getting a ton of people in your Discord that are active, and then losing all those people. I don't think really it's about like, it's not really hyping it up and then keeping it hyped. It's more, that is the modern mindset, though. It's like you don't have it's not like the 90s when Doom and Quake were coming out, or all those games back in the 90s, early 2000s, even into the 2010s. We had these games that still to this day have thousands of people who talk about them on a regular basis on Reddit, on Twitter, on Discord, on everything all the time, because they came out in a time where people's attention spans were much longer. People replayed games much more often, and people actually bought less games. And also, less games were as so easily accessible as they are today, because you can go on Steam and find 1,000 games for $5, $1, $2, $4, $10, $20. Versus back then, I mean, everything was roughly around the same price. There were not thousands of indie games. There were not tons of AA games. Just about everything at those points in time were either AAA or like something that wasn't quite AAA, but it was close enough and it was still of a similar price range. But nowadays, people consume everything the same way, whether it's the way people consume YouTube videos or video games or movies or television. It has to be very accessible and catered towards the most casual audience imaginable, or it will never succeed. You do anything outside of that, and it's so easy to fail. And it's so hard to keep people's attention. It's like when you're making a YouTube video. If the first like 10 to 30 seconds isn't like instantly attention grabbing, people will just leave. And if you can't keep that attention span from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, then nobody's ever even going to watch the entire video.
That's why we opened this video with a cat.
And exactly. But I think that's an issue with all mediums of art, I think, at the moment.
When
it comes to movies and everything, if the movie isn't like spoon fed to you, then people are like, it was just kind of hard to understand or something.
I think you definitely have a point there, but at the same time, I feel like the point of making indie games is that you can reach out to people who are expecting or like more open to playing different things, right? Like if I'm gonna make when, and I can actually attest to this because like that is my day job, but like when you work on like the AAA type game that they are like fucking expensive, the amount of like the process of like trying to get it to be likable by so many people, to be honest, for me as a developer, is like so crushing, because it removes the intention that you most of the time get. Like it just gets, it's sort of like having something really cool and putting it to like a tube that just gets like crushing until it's like, I'm not saying every game's like that, but it's pretty much the thing I wanted to say about replayability. Is I think this is lesson learned at least from me, and certainly true for Cult at least, which the problem with games that are not meant to be replayable, which is like it doesn't matter if it's narrative or not, but it's like a linear thing that you just play once and it's like great, and then yeah, maybe if it's amazing you might replay it, but like it's not. The problem with that is that the time it takes for it to be on a really good shape so people can actually experience it properly, it's insane, right? Like the amount of time it takes is insane. Like a good example of this, like if you play any of like Half-Life 2 or any of the episodes and you play with the dev commentary, some of the maps they iterate and playtest with players for like 3 years, right? And we're talking $1 million company back then, right? Like a lot of $1 million, right?
Oh, yeah.
100 millions, whatever. And
For
imagine if you're an indie developer. And I think that the thing here, and I'm not saying, I know I'm not advocating for just make replayable games, but it's certainly something that works better with the resource of an indie developer, is that once you try to make a replayable experience, you can just work on that loop and then keep adding and keep adding, and that is sort of like exponential how much is adding. When you're making a linear thing, it's just like up until the very release of the game, probably your game has so many flaws, right? And you need the opinion of players, actually, to get them in the right place. So it's really, really hard, to be honest. Like I'm not saying it's don't do that type of game, but you're up to a big challenge. We certainly are. So
Yeah. I mean, yes, I agree. I mean, it's hard to do all that. It's such a weird point in time that we are right now when it comes to all that kind of stuff, and some of that stuff you were talking about with like sticking to what you want to make versus making something that's accessible for everybody, kind of thing. That's kind of why people are not such big fans of AAA anymore, is because AAA has become so stagnant at being ultra accessible and constantly being something that everybody can consume at this very casual level, that AAA is kind of now really crashing pretty hardcore for a lot of those reasons. Yet simultaneously, a large portion of people still absolutely love to buy those same extremely accessible games while also complaining about them at the same time. So yeah, it puts the industry in a very interesting spot right now.
Yeah, you made a really good point earlier, Deadforge, and I think you're right. It is like the modern mindset problem that you kind of can only harness or kind of tame so well. There was a video going around last week about how it's not that YouTube essays are getting worse, it's that YouTube is. And by the same token, you can imagine that if they're propagating kind of the lowest common denominator, by definition, that's just the way the system works, that you can make the best, like what's the Star Trek quote, you can do everything right and still fail, that kind of idea, is you might be making exactly what you're supposed to be making and doing exactly right, not overburdening people with constant updates and look at me's and all this kind of stuff, and be doing exactly right and the way you should be doing it. And it may not matter to the success of the game, because everybody's sort of hardwired to have the empathy for the little guy but still be sort of tuned into the way the big machine has made them think all the time. Just to be cynical about it, that it may you kind of, I say all that to say, as the little guy who's been grinding on the YouTube for forever, and I see somebody who's been doing it for 6 months and they've got 30,000 subscribers, you kind of go, what the fuck? Like,
I literally put out.
You kind of always have those thoughts, like, what could I be doing to emulate, or how could I translate me to the audience better? That it may not be your fault. It may just sort of be like the grind right now. And,
there was somebody mentioned on LinkedIn that they spend so much time doing all of this professional content and stuff like that, and they get like 400 views, and someone goes and uploads a video of a hamster doing a cartwheel, and it gets 104 million views or some shit. And it's like, why am I doing this?
It's wild, man.
Just get a hamster, like.
Or Asmongold covers your video and you're on for life.
And it was kind of what Medium was talking about. But I had like some videos that only got a few hundred, maybe 1,000 views or something, and then I had like these shorts that I made a while back, and I think max my shorts have all ever been like 30 seconds, and one of them is just like I put audio from Fight Club over fighting in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You can fight in the like boxing rings or whatever, and I just did a little thing, and I put like the like emojis at the top, and I just for the hell of it, and it has like 20,000 views or something, and it's one of the most least effort put into anything in my entire life, and it's done better than 90% of everything that I've released in the last 3 years, which blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Same.
Yeah.
So,
Like
what?
club music and hamsters. That's what we all need. Maybe hamsters fighting.
It's a $1 million
With Fight Club
idea.
music.
With a stapler
Yes.
and hamster fighting.
And Brad Pitt talking over it.